Hey y'all, GetMeowth here. How's it going? Two card reviews in one day. Just because we had a ton of cards revealed today during the live stream and the card dump. So let's go ahead and finish off these card reviews strong while we're at it. Just a reminder that if you have ideas or synergies or opinions on cards that are different than mine or that I completely overlook, make sure to leave a comment on them down below the video. And just a moment to sell out before we start. Just while you're down there, make sure you sub to the YouTube channel for notifications. For when new content goes live. We've got tons of stuff scheduled before the release of the expansion, and obviously moving into the new expansion with a ton of new decks. I'm also streaming 6 to 7 days a week live over on twitch.tv/getmeowth. So if you're looking for some live gameplay, make sure you guys head over there and drop a follow so you know when I go live. Alright, with that being said, let's go ahead and get started. We've got Sword and Board. No. Overconfident Orc. So this is basically a Tar Creeper reprint. But I still think Tar Creeper is better because it's always 3 attack on your opponent's turn, which is what you really care about if you're running something like Tar Creeper. Because Tar Creeper basically only sees fringe play, and this is a little bit worse than that, I don't think this is going to see a lot of play. We have Fonts of Power. So this reminds me a lot of Crystal Song Portal, or whatever the Druid card was called, that had a very similar effect. I think 1 mana is much better, and if you're running a no minion mage, you definitely want 2 of these. But I don't think No Minion Mage is very good because this card is not enough of a payoff to warrant running Minion Mage or No Minion Mage or Spell Mage, and I don't think the deck has a payoff, so I wouldn't expect to see a lot of this seeing play. Then we have Bone Chewer Raider. So this is basically 3 mana 4/4 with Rush if there's any damage minion at all, which I think is really good, especially in a class that's looking to take advantage of damaged minions. It's a solid card, but it's not the carry that Enraged Warrior deck needs. So, I mean, is it good enough to see play on its own outside of Enraged Warrior? I don't think so, because I don't know how consistently you can have damaged minions on yours or the opponent's side of the board. And so, I think it really only slots into that Enraged Warrior build, and if it's not seeing play, if that deck's not seeing play, this card's not seeing play. Rustied Raider, no. Incanter's Flow. So this is probably going to be the best Discover cards off of something like Primordial Glyph or Magic Trick, but I don't think it's good enough to warrant seeing, one of those 30 premium deck slots in something like Quest Mage or Reno Quest Mage, where those card slots are super contested. But you're going to be really happy or really annoyed when your opponent gets this off of Glyph or Magic Trick. Bone Chewer Brawler, nope. Bone Chewer Vanguard? Nope. Deep Freeze? Hell no. Alright, now let's talk about Netherwind Portal. Okay, so this is an insane secret for Secret Mage. Just not sure what secrets we're cutting, because you can only really run 8 or 9 secrets in that deck. But I would liken this card to something like Cat Trick for Hunter, where it's insane against slower decks because it's protection against AoE. They sweep your board, they play spells to get rid of some of your minions, proc the secret, you get a minion that you can continue to push face with, continue pushing damage even after they try to clear your board. And so I think this card's really good. I think it's really good at punishing the slow decks, which is what Secret Mage looks to do anyways. And so I think the question really comes down to what secrets do you end up cutting. Then we have Scrap Golem. This is basically just Rotten Apple Bomb for Warrior without hand buffs. And so the only way it sees play is if it is buffed, which means it's really only seeing play in Taunt Warrior. Even then, it's kind of expensive because a lot of the Taunt Warrior builds have gone towards like turbo completing the quest, trying to complete it as fast as possible, turn 6, turn 7, so that you can start hitting your opponents with 8 damage hero powers. So I don't even know if it makes the cut in that deck, so I wouldn't be too hopeful about this one. Then we have Corsair Cash. So I used to actually run one copy of Forge of Souls in my Bomb Galakron Warriors because the Ritual Choppers and the Wrench Calibers are so crucial to your game plan. However, if you ever need a reason to, or want a reason to run a Weapon Tutor again, now we just have this guy, Corsair Cash, because you're definitely going to want this because the power and the durability added to the weapon's just insane, and the fact that you're adding durability to the weapon means that you don't really need the second weapon so desperately as a follow-up, and it buys you time. You can draw through your deck a little bit more. But yeah, I really like this card, and I think it's better than Forge of Souls in most situations. So if you're looking for a weapon tutor, I think this is the one that you're looking for. All right, next up we've got Blood Boil Brute. So this reminds me of a harder to activate Mogu Flesh Shaper. 6 attack is good, and this card's pretty much going to see play in an Enraged Warrior deck, if it's ever found and refined. And we're getting a lot of synergy and support cards this set, so maybe we'll see. But this again isn't the sole reason to run it. It's not like the hard carry of a deck. But we're getting a lot of these cards that are they're pretty good. And so maybe just a collection of pretty good cards might lead to a pretty good deck in Wild. We'll see. There's not a lot of Warrior Brews out there, so you might be the one that finds and refines a really good Enraged Warrior deck, and everybody starts net decking you. Speaking of Warrior cards, though, we have Blade Storm. This isn't Defile. This is a slightly better Bouncing Blade, which was a garbage card. And so this is a slightly less garbage card, so probably not going to see play. Then we have Imprisoned Homunculus. If you have this on turn 1, it's a turn 3 2/5 taunt, which isn't even that relevant, especially for Wild, so this won't see play. Dragon Moth Sentinel. So if you're ever running a deck that wanted that 2/4 Dragon Taunt guy, I always forget his name because he's so irrelevant, you probably are just going to want this because Lifesteal is a much more, I think, relevant effect, because if you're running the 2/4, you're probably running buffs anyways, and so buffing the Lifesteal is pretty relevant. But like I mentioned, at the beginning of this card, that 2/4 taunt's pretty irrelevant, and so this card's probably also going to be pretty irrelevant. Next up we have Hellbore. So it's a decent 1-drop for Hunter. The problem is I don't really see it displacing the other 1-drops on the current Beast Hunter builds. Though if the decks do pivot to value buffs more, then I can totally see it coming in over something like Spring Paw. However, we're going to have to see how the lists develop. And so I'm looking at you doing for that mid-range Beast Hunter build, and to see if Hellbore finds a place in that style of deck. So then we have Apotheosis. So this is basically a worse Felon's Chosen. Yeah. Then we have Pack Tactics. So this is a cute secret for those Death Rattle-based Hunter builds. I wonder if you're just running these, 2 of these secrets with no other synergies. Because I don't think it's good enough in normal Secret Hunter builds. You don't really... I don't know if you really want this in there, because I don't see it displacing the other pretty solid Hunter secrets. And so the question then comes: do you run a secret package in a Death Rattle Hunter oriented build? Do you have the room for that? And so I've done a bit of theory crafting. It's kind of hard to find a way to fit the secret package in. So what this boils down to is I think Pack Tactics is a good secret if you're running cards that you can get solid value off of them. But if you're not getting decent value off of them, then there's no reason to be running this secret. So this is going to take, again, some more finessing with deck lists, but I think this secret has a lot of potential. So keep an eye on this one. Then we have Scrap Shot. So this is, flanking shot for a more combo-oriented list. The no 3/3 is a huge loss in tempo compared to flanking shot, but if the only beasts that you're running are ones that you care about buffing with +3/+3, something like a Knuckles or Zixor Prime, then it's probably okay or worth it, because then you're probably also building your deck list to accommodate for that lack of tempo that you're going to be having. Then we have Psych Split. I don't think this card's good, in my opinion. I don't think it's going to see play. Then we have Renew. So I think this card's actually pretty good in that combo Reno Priest that's super popular right now. It's a potential replacement for something like Power Word Shield or Regenerate or Flash Heal. If you're running that Akanai Phantasm list, which I am, and I really do enjoy that deck, that build of the deck. And so the fact that you're also discovering a spell means you can discover a really, really cheap spell for more gas when you're going off with Anduin Pings. So I think this is just a solid card. I think it's good, and I think it'll see a lot of play. Then we have Reliquary of Souls. So this is something that I think is just a solid control card for Priest. without even having to go all in on buffing Reliquary Prime. Control decks in Wild, Omega Lol, but I think outside of just control decks, I think you might be able to just run him in something like Inner Fire Priest or one of these mid-range buff priest decks that Blizzard's trying to push as just a potential target or constant threat for the opponent, because they can't deal with it. It's kind of scary for them, and so that at any time you're always threatening like this Divine Spirit, Inner Fire, potential lethal. And so I think it's a really, really cool card, and I think it's something that I'm going to try to make work. I think don't be disappointed that you open this unless you don't like Priest. Then you should kind of be sad that you open this. But in general, I think it's a pretty good card. I think it's a pretty underrated card. The problem is it's not very good against Priest or against Mage, but like 99% of the cards and decks are not good against Mage. So we're just going to ignore them, okay? We're just going to pretend they don't exist. So then we have Soul Mirror. So this is a really interesting AoE card. I don't know if it goes in Reno Combo Priest because it's kind of expensive for an AoE card. But the normal Reno Control Priest or other slower Priest decks definitely do want to run it because it's a one-sided AoE sort of. Like, I still haven't completely wrapped my mind around how Mass Hysteria functions, but Mass Hysteria is a really good AoE card. And this functions in a similar vein to Mass Hysteria, so I'm assuming it's going to be a very, very good AoE card. How the math and what the optimal ways and optimal, situations to use this, it's going to take some learning, but I think it's got a lot of potential to be a really, really good AoE card. Okay, next up we have Skeletal Dragon. So this is a pretty slow dragon card, especially for Wild. It's probably only playable if you're running a really heavy dragon shell for like Arena Priest. It's a nice value, but value is not really relevant currently in the meta, and it's never really been a problem for Priest in the first place, so I don't think this is going to see a ton of play. Then we have Dragon Moss Skystalker. So this is basically a neutral Savannah Highmane. Savannah Highmane isn't even remotely playable right now, so this card is bad. Then we have Waste Warden. So this would be so sick if Hearthstone had a sideboard. There isn't a sideboard though, unfortunately, so this probably won't see play. But this is one of the more unique and cool tech cards that we've seen, and it's actually, I think, really cool design. But sadly, or maybe not sadly, I don't think it's going to see play. So then we have Immolation Aura. So this is basically 2 mana AoE for 2 damage, which is pretty great for the slower or combo-based Demon Hunter builds. So I think this card's just pretty nuts. Then we have Bamboozle. So this is a really cool rogue secret. It's pretty insane tempo. It actually allows you to abuse the understated rogue cards that rogue likes to play anyways. Stuff like Elven Minstrel and Evil Miscreant. And I think the secret's actually pretty insane tempo, especially if you cheat it out with a mad scientist. Spy Mistress. This card's power creep. Poor Worgen Infiltrator. But seriously, this is just a solid, aggressively statted 1-drop that works really nicely in Rogue because of the stealth synergy existing and currently available. And I really, really like this card in a stealth Rogue and potentially in odd Rogue because hitting face is good. Then we have Netherwalker. So this is like a Frightened Flunky style card that you probably run and control Demon Hunter or Big Demon Hunter. It's okay. It's nothing flashy and nothing super good, but it's good enough to run it for sure. Then we have Burrowing Scorpid. 2 damage doesn't kill anything in Wild anyways right now, so this card's not going to see play. Then we have Ashtongue Slayer. Also, what the hell is this card, by the way? This card is so good. Like, what? It's like decent stats on its own, and then a stupid strong effect. Plus, we're getting a ton of stealth synergy anyways. Like, this card's absolutely insane. It's just good. It's going to see a ton of play in stealth rogues. It's nuts. Ashtongue Battlelord. This card is basically Sen'jin with Lifesteal and Demon Hunter. It's okay. You probably have to run it if you're running a slow control Demon Hunter build, but you're never happy with it. Cursed Vagrant. You never even considered running Wrapped Golem in Wild, and this is slightly better than that, so I don't think this is going to see play. Dirty Tricks. So Hidden Wisdom power creep. So everything's getting power creeped for Rogue. No, I'm just kidding. But this is a nice draw for that Tempo Secret Rogue because the only draw you're really running is Elven Minstrel. And so you're pretty lacking in draw outside of the secret. Plus it activates your other synergy effects. Secret synergy effects. And so I think this is just a solid secret that you're happy to run. and we'll see a ton of play. Then we have Soulbound Ashtongue. This card's not good. Nightshade Matron. So I think this card's actually really, really, really good in a discard Zoolock. Controllable discard on an oversetted minion is absolutely great. This basically, the way you build this deck is so that it always hits Hand of Gul'dan. And so you're always hitting a 4-mana 5/5 with Rush, which is insane, plus draw 3 cards, which is insane. So it allows you to churn through your Zoo deck. You're not having to spend 2 mana tapping to draw a card, which is still fine, but now you get it for free attached to a 4-mana 5/5 with Rush. Pretty nuts. I think this card's really, really solid. I think it's being underrated by a lot of people, and I think this is going to see a lot of play in Zoo decks and discard Zoo decks, which I know is super popular because I'm always being asked to play it. While it might not be the most competitive deck, I think Discard Zoo is very happy to see a card like this. Alright, so then we have Canrathad Ebenlock. So the Prime is basically another Gul'dan. It's 8 mana summon 3 random demons that have died this game. What the hell, man? I want this in my Arena Luck 1,000,000%. I think this card is bait, though, in stuff like Ebenlock and Q-Block, especially in Q-Block because you run Skull with a Minari, and Skull Minari is going to pull this, and you're very sad. Serpentshire Portal. So this is basically Flanking Strike for 3 mana for decks that aren't Even Shaman. However, most decks that aren't Even Shaman probably don't want this card because I really can't find myself wanting it in Arena or Shutter. However, the one place that I see it might having a home is in something like Evolve Shaman, as primarily because, not because it's great on its own, it's just a solid card, but it's like removal for if you're a little bit behind on board while generating a minion to allow you to discount your Quarter Keeper, but primarily because you're really lacking this 3-drop power thing that you're happy to draw into from Spirit of the Frog during your cycle combo. We used to run Farsight in Evolve Shaman just because we really wanted a 3 mana spell. The fact that this kind of slots in there and fits that deck archetype a lot better than something like Farsight means that I think this will see play, though I'm not like super convinced that it's strong and it's going to hold its own in that deck list. Alright, we spoke about this a little bit earlier, but Hand of Gul'dan. So this card, 6 mana, if you play or discard this, draw 3. You're hopefully never playing this for 6 mana, okay? You're hopefully always discarding it. And so this card is nuts in that discard Zoolock deck that we talked about a little bit earlier. And I really don't foresee it seeing play anywhere outside of that. And then we have Dark Glare. I think this package of this card plus Neverset Thrasher plus Diseased Vulture is a really cute package in something like Zoolock. But I don't think this card sees play in any deck outside of those cute Zoolock decks. Then we have Marsh Spawn. There's a lot of bad Shaman spells, by the way, and so I don't think this sees play, even in a Reno Shaman shell, and I really don't see like a Spell Shaman being anything remotely viable, so I really don't like this card too much. Then we have Vivid Spores. This card seems insane, by the way, because Ancestral Spirit was absolutely bonkers in Crusher Shaman or Control Shaman back in the day, and I'm imagining this is just a solid card in like another Zoth Shaman or whether you're running Arena Shaman build or not. And I think this card's actually going to be nuts in my Overload Shaman. Hashtag sellout. Check out the video of this a couple weeks ago. The ability, like the dream of playing some cheap giants and then spellstoning giants or any minion that sticks around and then dropping a Vivid Spores means that you pretty much lock your opponent out of the game while threatening lethal at the same time. It's kind of insane, and of course the obvious value with N'Zoth as well. I really, really like this card. I think I'm going to have a lot of fun playing with it. It might not make its way into a top tier deck because Control Shaman is, many, many, many really nuts cards away from being a top tier deck. But I really, really do like this card, and I think it's got a place in Wild deck list, and I'm going to be playing with it a ton. We have Totemic Reflection. This card won't see play. Blistering Rot, I am pretty sure this is just a worse Echoing Ooze in 99.99% of situations, so I wouldn't run it. Then we have Bog Beam. This would be insane if it could hit the opponent's face, but it can't to Rip the Mally Dream. But this is yet another 0 mana spell for your Auctioneer or Miracle style Druid deck, just because whenever you're popping off with Kael'thas or Auctioneer, you always have at least 7 mana usually. So this is almost always free. Then we have Disguise Wanderer. No. No. Enhanced Dreadlord. I think this is a really nice fifth demon for Arena Lock. I've kind of been desperate for a fifth demon for Arena Lock just for void color consistency. And it's actually a pretty solid tech card for something like Q-Block if we get into a really, really aggressive meta. Dude, Arena Lock's getting a lot of buffs. I'm super excited about that. Ethereal Og Merchant. Probably no. Felfin Navigator. This is maybe a cute one of in Murloc decks if you're really, really lacking in that 4-drop slot, because I know Murloc Shaman basically runs Call the Finishers and then runs like one copy of Murkai and then Megasaurs, right? And so maybe you include this as a one-off if you feel like you need some more 4-drops. I don't think you run 2 of these at all, though. It's a little bit too expensive for a deck that wants to be spitting out onto the board and snowballing the board. Frozen Shadow Weaver. This, if you ever need freeze, we have the 1-mana 2/1 that's a lot easier to slot into your deck. So I think this is an arena card once they play. Imprisoned Gnarg. What a weird name. But Fiery War Axe isn't even playable on turn 3 in Warrior and Wild, so no way this sees play. We have Infectious Sporling. This isn't really a neutral poly like a lot of people think it is, because it's way slower and will almost never work. I am not understanding the hype about this card. I don't think it's very good. And I don't think it's going to see any play at all. Then we have Overgrowth. So this is basically Nourish Ramp, sort of, kind of. It's 2 empty mana crystals. You probably run 1 of these, maybe 2 in most Druid decks, especially if you're looking to ramp like a big Druid. Then we have Rocket Og Merchant. Nope. Rust Sworn Cultist. Maybe you run this in Galacron Warlock. But more than likely, no, you're not going to. Because these effects are almost always bad because they're unplayable from behind or even on the board state. And so super win more cards, sort of like this, are usually never good, so I highly doubt this one's going to see play. We have Rust Sworn Initiate. This is an arena card. We have Scavenging Shivara, 6-mana, 6/3, targeting all minions, not just opponents. This card's so bad. We have Star Scryer. Okay, so this was in the card dump, and I think went unnoticed by a lot of people, but I think this is actually one of the best minions in the set. I'm talking about like Luna's Pocket Galaxy Reno Mage loves to see this card. Okay, you use this card to tutor your important spells from the deck, so that you always have them on curve when you need it, right? You know, whether it's Book or Pocket Galaxy or whatever spells you're running. I think this card is really good. So you know, just I think up there for one of the sleepers of the set. Right, so when you're over there in Discord or Twitter or whatever world you're in and you want to surprise some people with your knowledge of the game, I think this is the one you call out as one of your sleepers of the set. Terragard Escapee. This card's not good enough to see play. And then last but not least, the very last card of the Ashes of Outland. Card reveals Unstable Fellbolt. So you might see this see play, actually, in slower Warlock decks that, you know, are running Dark Bombs right now for removal, because, you know, especially in the early game, you're not running minions yourself, so you don't really care about the fact that it's going to deal 3 damage to your minion because you don't have a minion on the board. Okay, and the downside of it not being able to go face, you don't really care about that because most of these slower Warlock decks don't care or need the extra damage to go face. And so this card might need some testing, but I think it's actually up there when it comes to power level. It might replace cards like Dark Bomb in decks like Arena Lock. Alright, that's it. That was the final dump of cards. Try to get them as quick as we could. That's it. That's all the cards of Ashes of Outland. Lots of cool stuff. Lots of cool new synergies and archetypes and themes emerging from this set. Super excited as always to play with the new cards. Again, if you have comments or anything that I missed, make sure you leave them down in the comments below. Just a reminder, drop sub here over on YouTube if you guys enjoy the content so that you guys get notified of new videos that go live. I appreciate all of you guys for watching all the way to the end. I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you guys enjoy Ashes of Outland, and have a good one. Later.